We are live. Couples 412 is live.com. It's funny when you feel like you are the dot and the comma. But sometimes you just want to connect and hang out online in your home. You don't want to fight traffic. You don't want to. You don't want to do anything sometimes. Matter of fact, that's why they created the laptop so you can stay in bed and do nothing sometimes. But tonight we're connecting with some of our favorite friends all over the world. Q Parker, Charlinda, checking in.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up?
What part of Georgia is that? North, south, east?
Actually, yeah, it's kind of like mid-north.
Mid-north.
What is mid? Now we live mid north. Okay, let's tell LaQ that.
All right, well, I'm Kevin Impeccable Peck, and this is my wife, Dana Peck, in case you haven't met us. We also hanging out with Pastor Stephen Thurston. He's also in Georgia, part of Couples 412. And what part of Georgia are you in, brother?
College Park.
College Park. That's what I'm saying. Not too far from us. And I have one of our special couples from our Couples 412 group, Brian and Tisha, joining us. Tisha is putting down.
Hello.
Make sure you get the Cobbs.
The Cobbs. How you guys doing?
Doing
Good.
great.
Doing really good.
Coming live from North, Kennesaw, Georgia.
North.
Double north.
All right. So, Georgia is big. You have friends in Atlanta or in the Atlanta area. I had a friend that said he lived in Atlanta. He lived in somewhere called Ackworth, if you ever heard of that.
Ackworth is past Kennesaw.
You are somewhere outside of Atlanta. But if this is your very first time tuning in, what we do once a month is we come on live and we just pick up on a subject that we have talked about live. We meet twice a month, Couples 412. The 412 in Couples is basically pulled from the book of Ecclesiastes, with three are gathered. A strong strand cord of three is not easily broken. If you got a relationship in this, you're feeling broken over here, you're feeling broken over there, and you can't feel the presence of God in between your relationship, putting that glue together, and Couples 412 is here. We're going to hit you in a real, raw, and relevant way. Stephen Thurston came up with that. Real, raw, and relevant. We adapted it. We love it. We look forward to this. Just a quick footnote. If you're in the Atlanta area and you have joined us in Buckhead at the Oasis location, they have moved for a temporary moment right now while they search for a place to buy. The place they were leasing, the owners decided to do something else, but now they're looking for a place to buy. So next month, we will be at the Basement, BASSMINT. Go to couples412.com to catch us if you're in the Atlanta area and you want to join us. But we found out that all of us online know so many couples all over the country, so we started this online thing. Technology is wonderful. It gives us a chance to be intentional about our relationships. It gives us a chance to be focused on just being couples. Sometimes it takes a lot to be couples.
Sure does.
And so, you're funny, right? Sure does. All of a sudden, right? I love you. This is a time for a PDA moment when I get speechless. If you haven't kissed your wife all day, give her a kiss. It's called a PDA moment. And, it makes you feel better. It makes you feel, even if you're mad, you try to, I don't feel like kissing. You ever feel like you've been mad with somebody, you can sleep on a twin bed and you don't even touch? Like, you're just mad for no reason. Tonight we're going to piggyback on forgiveness. That's kind of our topic. But Dana and I wanted to share just a couple things in the beginning. And we said, how can we spend more time together in God's Word? How can we start our day off right before all the noise and the madness of the world just hit us? And we decided that if you just take a few minutes, and we're going to just kind of give you a peek into the beginning of our day. I don't like to check my email. I don't like to check my text. I don't like to really do anything until I have first started out with speaking to God. So this is a great app. Everybody has a smartphone. They're really smart until they run out. Anybody ever had low battery? That joint is not smart when that battery is on red, right? But typically, everybody has heard of the Bible app. If you haven't, you go to the Play Store, the App Store. You click on play, app, type in Bible. It's a brown little icon, wonderful Bible. And so let's click on the Bible like we usually do. And you can either go to home. The home button is going to tell you some things, a verse of the day, what's going on. You can go to read. You can read any of your favorite chapters if you just want to look through the books of the Bible.
In 1 month, remember we read through Proverbs. So we read a proverb a day.
Proverb a day. That was added on. But what we like to do is we like to browse through the plans. If you've never checked out the plans in the Bible app, the plans are right down there at the bottom. So you can even type in a topic from children, from blended families, from marriages, from forgiveness, from hurt and pain, just anything that you want to just dive into. And sometimes I like to look for things that have 365 days that we can just dive into. Some reading plans are 7 days, some are 5, some are 20. But we picked one called the NIV 365-Day Devotional Plan. And so today was March the 22nd, which is my dad's birthday. So if you're there, shout out to you, happy birthday. And also the Wingos, Summer and Wingo were supposed to be on, but they had a death in their family. So our prayers go out to them. You can never know when it's your time. So tell your loved ones you love them at the time. Don't wait for it to be an occasion or a funeral to say something that you miss them or you love them. Tell them you love them every day. When you think about it, even if it's just sending a text, a note, and with the smartphones, you can even send a short video clip. I'm just thinking about you. Believe me, it goes so far of a short video to a loved one. But anyway, back to the plan.
Yes.
This is what we do. We say, okay, we click on it. It's the 22nd. You click on devotional content. All right, and what's today's content, sweetie?
Okay, God gives success in fighting Satan.
Say what?
Yeah.
We're talking about forgiveness. So God gives success in fighting Satan.
Okay, someone has quipped that temptations are like stray cats. If you treat one nice, it'll be back shortly with a bunch of its friends.
Wow.
There's a lot of truth in that old joke. The more we yield to sin, the more enticements to sin we seem to encounter. But the opposite is also true. The more firmly and consistently we resist temptation, the stronger our resolve becomes. Sin becomes less attractive. Holiness becomes more desirable.
Now, how we do it, she'll read a paragraph, then I'll jump in and say, you know what, it's worth nothing that when Jesus bluntly rejected Satan's overtures, who writes this? In the wilderness, the devil departed in a huff. He didn't leave for good, and he didn't give up his diabolical fight. But Satan did get a small taste of his ultimate defeat and humiliation, which is the same thing he gets whenever we tell him to take a hike. So anytime, that's Romans 16:20. Whenever you need, when you feel that fight going on, we went in Bible study. Our pastor said, you know what? If you feed the spirit guy more, you're going to be more spiritual and more equipped for the battle. But if you feed that other guy, you like to call it your twin, and you're going to be going in that other way.
What was the other thing? It was like if you let him get the steering wheel, no, if you let him take a ride with you.
Yeah, he'll soon be driving the car. Right.
Okay, so God's promises to us. So it usually ends in some type of prayer or action. If you firmly resist Satan, he will flee from us. Our prayer to God. Oh God, our enemy is strong and sinister, but you are stronger. Give us the grace to recognize the attacks of the enemy and the strength to spurn his sinful offers.
And that was about 2 minutes. So it gives you a quick devotional of something you can do together. And then it quickly has a small Bible verse or couple verses that it clicks. So if you're on the app or if you haven't seen the app, you just click over, if you're on the iPhone, to the green, and it'll go right to the scripture. Today's scripture is James 4:7, which says, therefore submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. And then you can either read the full chapter if you want to. You can go into it. It talks about a double-minded man in James. But basically, the whole point of it is we like to start our day with God's word first.
Yeah, and even if he's traveling, we still do it over the phone, and so it keeps us connected even when he's not physically here. We could still continue the process and follow along on the days.
So that's just the PEX little tip. We like to start the day off with God, put him first in everything we do, and the day goes a lot better. It's almost like when, fellas, you ever try to fix something and you just fixing it and it ain't working? When as soon as you say, God, why don't you help me out with this? All of a sudden,
You come
you-
together.
it comes together. But not until we have physically tried everything
Exhausted every
and it doesn't work. If you just tuned in, this is couples412.com. We connect with great couples all over the world. We have Charlinda Parker, Q Parker, hanging out with us. We have Brian Cobb and Tisha Cobb, where Tisha is tending to their, they got a little one. I mean, baby, you know, one that wakes up every 3 hours.
To the right, teacher.
Move a little into the camera. Trying to act like you keeping the baby. Anyway, we're gonna hear from them. They're one of our favorite couples from Couples 412. But I want to introduce you to this great couple. I mean, Q Parker and myself. He being in 112, and I'm managing Drew Hill for years. 20 years to be exact. We both started. Happy anniversary, you guys.
Thank you.
Have been on the road, and one time, just recently, God put us together and said, you know what? You have a heart for couples and relationships, and so do we. And so we started this thing called Couples 412. We have no history, training, or any of that other stuff. We just say, you know what? We love people and we love God, so we're just going to connect with couples all over the world, and we're going to have some fun. We're going to put fun back in marriage. We're going to talk about real issues, and we're going to show the real power when God is in your relationship. So I'm going to introduce the Parkers so we can have a moment with the Parkers and see what they talking about this month.
What up, world? What up, world? I am Q Parker. This is my beautiful, lovely wife, Charlinda Parker.
Hey.
First, we just want to say thank you to everybody that is joining in and really joining this movement with us, because we definitely know that figuring this marriage and couples and thing out, sometimes it just you can't figure it out by yourself. And again, like Kevin said, with you having God in it, he definitely it should be the captain of this marital ship. However, there are still things that we have to do of our own to make sure that everything stays tuned up, well oiled. So Kevin kind of was in our living room earlier today, because when we talked about what we were going to talk about, he just kind of stole it.
Yeah.
Right, but
That means we're connected. We're all doing what we're supposed to be doing, God's work.
We're on one accord.
On one accord.
but
Usually I do song therapy, but I was like, you know what? Why don't I do this? Nobody might not want to hear any song therapy.
We love songs.
that's one of the things that we try to make sure that's on our agenda also. If a lot of people say the way you start is how you're going to finish, and the way you start kind of dictates and it sets the tone and the temperature of how your day goes. And we too subscribe to the notion of the first thing we do when we wake up is pray. And we like to do mind, body, and spirit before we actually do anything. So we pray, and then we'll go into our a physical workout, and then we'll do some reading. Or Charlinda and I are not writing a book together, so we'll take some time out to do that. But anything you want to talk about today?
No, I think you hit it on the head. We wake up in the morning with prayer. Sometimes we do read the scriptures, but we kind of free flow and thank God for first waking us up, and then thanking God for what he did for us the day before, and what he, going forward with us going out here in this world. So we do that. Q has put me on a regimen of a workout. Thank y'all. So I get up and I do the cardio. He goes to the gym, or we try to do some outside stuff when we have our good days. My allergies and sinuses going crazy right now, but and then we read together. So whether I'm on the treadmill walking and Q is reading something out of a book, we just have to get it in and not find excuses, because I know for myself, being extremely busy, I will find an excuse to say, okay, well, I need to run out to the store to go do X, Y, and Z before I head to work. But we just try to get that mind, body, and soul together before we start out.
One of the things too that has been on my mind this week has been understanding and knowing that even in your relationship, you still have to have people that can hold you accountable, and not just. And I'm just not speaking from the manly side, but for both men and women, because nobody's going to go through their relationship without any kind of tests or any kind of trials. And the Bible said, lean not to your own understanding, but to lean on God. And even with that, still having a good foundation and a good support group, it really really show its face to really be helpful. A lot of times, extension of Couples 412 is Brothers United. At any given moment, I can pick up the phone and call Kevin. I can pick up the phone and call Brian or Steven and just say, hey man, I'm struggling in this area, or hey man, give me some insight on how I need to deal with this. And I'm not just talking about regular stuff like my job and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about with my wife. Like, hey man, me and my wife, we at each other's throat over here.
Yeah.
And give me some insight on, did I take this wrong? And the thing that I like to say to couples, and even trying to utilize it and exercise it even in my own marriage, is, Stephen gave the message a couple of months ago about start outward. And one of the things that we try to do, and I say try because I'm a realist, and the thing about this platform is to be able to say, keep things real, raw, and relevant. And I'm not gonna get on here and pretend or lay it out like Charlene and I just always on point, and we never fuss and argue. I mean, we go at it. I mean, we love each other. We love each other. But when I feel strongly about something, I'm trying to plead my case. And when she strongly feels something, she's pleading her case as well. And one of the areas that we're wanting to grow and we're trying to grow in is being able to understand that even though you are a couple, understand that you're still two individuals within the marriage, and that somebody's opinion shouldn't be thrown out the window because it's not yours. And even though I can articulate this to everybody that's watching, sometimes I have to take my own medicine because I can be bullheaded and I can feel like, well, Shar, I know I'm right, and she could be, well, Q, I know I'm right. But one of the areas that we've been praying for God to really just kind of bless us is, our communication piece and being able to communicate and understand each other. So, and that's twofold.
Right.
The person who's actually speaking has to be mindful of the person that's receiving it, and then the recipient has to be mindful of the person that's actually giving it out, so that it's a constant flow of understanding. So, I just urge, the couples that are watching, to just really, really be able to look inward first, and look at the things that you make an improve on before it gets to the you in an outward approach. And I think that that's one of the main components that we all know is a big struggle in relationships, just being able to communicate and fully understand each other. So and I know other couples out there have their little things too, but I just really believe like that communication piece is something that all couples can continue to just work on so that they can really be a couple that really, really understands each other. Because at the end of the day, you really want your spouse to be able to understand and know and feel everything that you're particularly saying.
I agree.
Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, and I think when you said that, I like trying to call me out. My thing is, the little cliche. I'm picking with you. Agree to disagree. My thing is, I think when you have two strong people with strong personalities, I just want. It should be equal. Just understand that person, because as long as we're not hurting each other, putting you in any hurt, harm, or danger, I think my opinion can, just sit there and don't take it so personal or take it like as if though I'm throwing a dagger, because I think, we all have, freedom of speech, and then, I can't think like how a man think. A man can't think how a woman think, and I'm not trying it to. And I know we get Stephen in the middle of these battles all the time. Stephen, I said this, and and I think it's always the way a person receives something too, because I can say the same thing to Stephen or Kevin, and it could be like, oh, cool, but I make it say it to Q, and he take it the total, like, did you just say that? And it wasn't meant that way. Dana, I said, you shaking your head, girl. So my thing is, it's not, I think sometimes it's the way the person receive it, because we can all say the same thing. I can say it to everybody on this panel, and we all receive it differently. You know what I'm saying? We all not going to receive it the same way. And it's, and I think sometimes we got to take our emotion and feelings out of stuff when you just trying to have a real conversation, just that conversation at the table, as Q call it, pulling you to the carpet, and being able to say stuff. You should be able to say it and the other person not take it to offense, that it turns into an argument.
So it leads me to a question that I think that we can just kind of like get some feedback. Yeah. And fellas, y'all feel me on this, right?
See, there you go. That's how you start off.
No, listen. No.
See?
It goes to the room. I want to put this to the room.
Put it out in the atmosphere.
Yes.
If you're tuning in online,
yeah,
and you like this comment, just go to Facebook, like our page, Couples 412, and my lovely wife is monitoring your questions right now. And if you're a couple from across the world who would like to join in, we'd love to have you.
Yes.
You can chime in live. If you have a webcam, you can come on in. So just wanted to put that short note. Couples 412 on Facebook. Feel free to comment, and we will get your question on. Now, Q.
Okay. So I can admit, right, as a man, that sometimes I'm emotional and I get in my feelings, right? I can admit that. How many men out there can just can chime in with me, right? I get in my feelings sometimes, and I'm just in my feelings. And I think sometimes, man, it's difficult for me to hear some of the truths that my wife may throw at me, because we all understand that, man, and sometimes the truth hurts. So the question I'm putting out there is, how do you have the tough conversations without somebody's feelings being hurt? And I'm talking about the tough. We all know within your marriage what the tough subjects are and the tough issues are, that you try not to have, and you try not to say it. You try to figure out a way to say it kind of easy, or figure out a way to slide it in, like, without it being taken a certain way. So that, I'm just throwing it out there. And that may can be something that we just kind of talk throughout the night, but I just want to throw that out there.
Don't all jump in the
Q, for me, I know when it's coming. It's systematic in the sense that she'll start her day. The phone call a little cold. She'll come home and the dinner is just there's no love in it. Then she puts the kids to bed.
No love in the dinner.
And I feel like I'm just on deck. I know it's coming. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's just those triggers that's on your baby. I think what's best for us is just to go ahead and just get it out. I like to get it out in the morning. If I feel something's wrong in the atmosphere, or I feel something wrong by her expression, I ask her what's wrong. She don't want to talk about it then. She want to talk about it later under her conditions and her, and that's rough, because you in your mind's racing, because you're like, well, what happened? What did I do? So, for me, I think the best thing for me to have those tough conversations is just to be direct. Try not to set the stage directly, and just be honest as open as possible in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Okay.
Steven?
Well, I think the female has to understand that whatever he's saying, it's from a place of love. You got to know your mate. You got to trust their core of who they are. And know that, if they're bringing up something that directly deals with you, your actions, behaviors, demeanor, know that they're coming from a place of love. And I think that should, from the jump, eliminate a lot of confrontation and conflict and friction, understanding that. Sometimes, Q, it might be necessary or needful to write a note, to write a letter, where you just use that as the introduction. You leave that note, hey, this is an issue I've been kind of dealing with, marinating in my mind. I want us to set some time to sit down and talk about it. So if you could take a few minutes out of your day, gather your thoughts about it, and then tonight when we get together after dinner, let's have this conversation. I think if you, that way they get all day to kind of like get their mind right.
So why did you address that to the woman?
Say again?
Why did you address that to the woman?
Because Q said in his question.
Oh,
said,
you was just hypothetically saying. Oh, okay. He just wondered that I missed some, so evidently I apologize.
No, me and Q ain't talking about you behind your back, Shalinda.
Right. But you know what?
They're talking in front of you.
That's a good thing, Steve, and I do agree with that. However, when the conversation, I still don't think everything should be taken personal. I can sing it in a lullaby, kid tone voice, and it's still, well, you said, so my thing is, I have a heavy voice, I can't change it. So, and I, so it's like, hey, cute baby, let me tell you, and I try to dress it up with ice cream on top and everything, and sometimes it still just come across wrong. I think sometimes you got to think about the person, how they receiving stuff. It's just like if, okay, I'm going to tell you an incident happened. It was years ago. This lady came into the country. She was from Africa, and she was speaking. She was talking, and she just blurted out, I'm not dumb and I'm not stupid. And everybody was like, why did you say that? Nobody, I don't know. But when you kind of keep saying stuff to a person, they just automatically blurt out to other people, I'm not dumb, I'm not stupid. So my thing is, I don't care how you can sometimes address stuff. It's just the way the person receive it, and they come out punching like, no. It's like, hold on, you received that wrong, because that's not what I was saying.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, and you're responsible for what you say. You're not responsible for what they receive.
How they receive it, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
So that's on that other person, and oftentimes it ain't about you while they're responding. It's something else deeper.
Something else.
Probably don't have nothing to do with you that's causing them to respond that way. It's some other issue that they haven't really dealt with.
Mhm.
So Q, I'm gonna finish. I didn't mean you finished, Shalinda?
Yeah, I'm done. Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure.
Oh, and I also let me.
I don't want that to come over.
No. I just also want to thank Dana for Miss Oprah Winfrey stage she had me on last session. You guys, I don't know. Do we have it up online, the Oasis?
We are waiting, and if you just tuned in, this is Couples 412, and this is our online version, and we are live.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put something out there, and we love Oasis, and we pray for them. We thank Pastor Mary, Corey, Frederick, all of the guys, the sound people, the people who come in and help with the media ministry. We thank you for having that space so that we could birth this movement. And if you've joined us in Buckhead before in Atlanta, we are moving to the basement, BASSMINT, temporarily right now. That's where Oasis will be. That's where we'll be once a month with couples412.com. But just wanted to get that in there. We love Oasis. We love how they have just opened their arms to us. And next week, or in 2 weeks, on the live version, we're going to be talking about the other F. See where y'all minds went. Finance. We're going to be getting down to the money. Whose money is it? Are you just a great manager, or is it yours? Mine? How you dealing with it? Are you ready in case emergency happens? Do you have your will straight? You have your insurance straight? Is your game excellent in your finances? So actually, Corey Ruth and his wife will be sharing, along with another gentleman, Mike. I don't have his name right in front of me, from Northwestern Mutual, will also be sharing about finances. So if you're in the Atlanta area and can make it to the basement on the second Tuesday, 412, that's right, 412 at 6:30, we'd love to have you. So I'm going to answer the question real quick, Q. It's something called wisdom that you as the husband must learn. I mean, sometimes it takes longer to learn, but you must learn how your wife or your mate operates, because I'm like Brian. If I'm thinking about something, I want to get to it right then. I don't want my day to be consumed. My wife, if I know she's in a way at that moment, she might not want to talk until 6:30 in the morning the next day when I'm sleepy. You know what I mean? When I'm rubbing my eyes, like, could we have talked about this? But we're talking about it. And sometimes it is at their, well, you have to just have the wisdom to just not force it, because sometimes you get a person to act out of their emotion instead of what they're really trying to truly say on their heart. So I've learned, as much as I want to deal with it right then, because I like my day to just keep going, I got to deal that God made me different than he made my wife. So that's my suggestion. So moving on, we've had Brian and Tisha join in with us. They came to the first Couples 412 meeting back in January, and we had a great time bowling. I'm gonna post those bowling videos if y'all want.
No, please, no.
I'm gonna tell you something, y'all. Q Parker is intentional about this thing. What'd you do to your Achilles?
Tore.
He tore, and he's on a little scooter on his knee. And we had this bowling couples day on a Sunday. This brother was bowling with the scooter. I mean, he was serious. I got he was serious about it. That brother's an athlete. We thank you. You still participate. Everybody had fun. Fellas, we broke 100. Or, that's a big deal. We got to break 100.
It was the pro at it, Steve.
Push-ups. But Brian and Tisha, they came. They put their bowling shoes on and blue and red joints, and they gave it a try. And we're glad that they could hang out with us. So, Brian, if you could introduce your wife, and just tell us where you guys met and how long you guys been married.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. My name is Brian Cobb. This is Tisha Cobb, my beautiful wife, and we met in college at Fayetteville State University about the year 2000, 2001, somewhere up in there. Mm-hmm. And just kind of fast forward, meeting young like that has many challenges and benefits. It's almost like you grow up together. So I always say we kind of grew up together and everything. And getting up to this point now, fast forward through the years, we have 3 beautiful children, a newborn. My son is 6 and my daughter is 9. So our household is really challenging. A lot of the issues that we deal with are not a lot of stuff between each other, but how we discipline the kids, what the kids should be exposed to. I'm from extreme city. My wife is from extreme country. So blending those worlds together are really, really challenging. We have a lot of fun in marriage. We have had a lot of pain in marriage. We have had a lot of makeups in marriage. It's been a great ride. We try to reinvent things as far as dating and things to keep the marriage fresh. To touch on how we start our day is challenging because we haven't done it. As far as the prayer every day, and it takes discipline. That's why I admire Q and Charlinda and Kevin and Dana, because with some of the things that we face, which is really no excuse, but it's just about being a little more disciplined. And we talked previously about being more disciplined and getting up and saying that prayer and things like that. Our lifestyles have switched from both of us working to me kind of being a stay-at-home dad, and that is difficult in itself because the role switch. So when you go to work and you put on a suit and you're out here and you the man, you come home and you're the man. Well, now I'm at the house prepping dinner and all type of domestic stuff my granddaddy would roll over in his grave about. I'm washing and folding clothes and keeping the house kept, and when it's cold outside, I'm peeking out the door. I'm like, baby, you home? You got some bags you want me to bring in? So that's tough for me to deal with, and it's just kind of transitioning into that. So those are some of the challenges that we face, and which is why the starters are hard for us, but we do recognize that it's important. So we're trying to do things to start our day off. At least with a prayer. So we're taking steps to move in a positive direction on that. I know that this 412 couples thing has been a savior for me, especially because it's been
therapeutic. We've done some couples therapy and things like that. And I'm not going to sit here and say that it didn't work, but you just have to find your own lane with things that's positive and find people that can be in the middle as opposed to pointing the finger. I kind of felt like in our therapy that our therapist was really like, Brian, you to blame. You to blame. And she did everything right, and she ignored totally what I felt like she was doing wrong. Instead of, that's a whole nother topic. But those have been some of the challenges in marriage for us. We try every day to get better. We're involved in a lot of family things. I've grown to appreciate more and know that and recognize that I've taken my wife for granted a lot of times until, one person gets sick or you face the fact of losing them. And then that's when all of these emotions come like, hey, man, I really could have lost my best friend. I really could have lost my house. I really could have had some other guy raising my children. It's just a whole gamut of emotion that really triggers for me to really get my act together and really take the ownership of this head of household thing. This is really painful and not comfortable to talk about, but this is some of the raw, real relevant things that you have to get off your chest in order to move forward. So yes, some of those conversations when your wife is upset, man, you haven't been a good dude. That intimidates you, and it makes you emotional, and it makes you angry because she's right. That's pretty much us in a nutshell. I own a photo booth company called Photo Buzz. It's a year old next month. It has 12 franchises. So I've done extremely well. I took a leap of faith. Thank you. I took a leap of faith on my golf and my job, and I decided to leave work one day. I called my wife and I told her about what I did, and since day one she supported me. I've had a number of businesses that I tried in the past, and I kind of closed her off from it because I wanted to just do it by myself. As soon as I opened up to her suggestions, her input, my business took off immediately. And it hasn't come down since. So just wanted to kind of, and she's the principal, which is why she reigns supreme over all discipline and education in the household, because when we're trying to discipline a kid, she hit me with all these acronyms and certifications that she has and things like that. So she's out there at Cover Bridge Montessori School. So we just try to do this thing called life together. Like other couples, man, we're not perfect, but we really love each other. We really try, and we're here long run, man. We just really love this group. It's been so good and so positive. Steven's messages are just on point.
Very powerful, yeah.
I feel like he's speaking directly to us every session we sit in on, and he really needs like a tip jar or something, man, because this can't be free.
Right.
So I don't want to hold up any more time, but that's the Cobb family in a nutshell, and we just thank you guys for having us on the whole podium today.
Yeah, and I like to piggyback off what Brian said. I have to agree. Couples 412 has been a huge blessing in our growth, I'll say. I'm more of the very structured, organized kind of girl, and Brian is Brian. Okay, Brian is usually trying to juggle 75,000 things, and it's been real nice to hear other couples and get some feedback and insight. And it's good to know you're not necessarily alone. When you go through some of the heavy things, you're like, God, I have got to be the only person in all of America going through this. The pain is unbearable and everything else. So it's really refreshing to know that there are some people who are not there in a judgmental sense and who you can lean on their shoulders, and there's no judgment attached. So it's been a huge blessing. I want to thank everybody involved with that.
All right, baby, we're not talking about pain tonight. We're talking about forgiveness.
Well, hey, you got to get to it somehow.
Thank you for giving Cobb. We love you guys. And like Q always says, it is a blessing just to receive from everybody. I mean, when we connect, we had a vision to start it, but It's just not ours. It's everybody who just puts their intentional effort to say, we're going to work on our relationship, and we want it to be excellent like God created. And we're working towards obedience. We're working towards taking things and moving things in a nice direction and start. As you can see, Dana and I took only a few minutes to read that together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, God already knows what you're thinking and what you feel anyway. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have to be elaborate prayer, just get it in. And then you'll grow and grow and grow. And you'll find that things will be harmonious through the day. If you just tuned in, this is Couples 412 Live. We are moving through our online experience, connecting with couples all over the world. If you're tuning in and you want to ask a question, Facebook, Couples 412, or Twitter, Couples 412, or Instagram, Couples 412. Don't you hate when people do that? Hit me up on social media. Hit me. It's like, everybody's social media. Don't you hate when people just want to be your friend on every social media? Like, they're on there, now they're on LinkedIn, now they're on Instagram. It's the same thing. One thing. Anyway, the heartbeat that keeps us grounded, us two couples, or all the rest of the couples, is Pastor Stephen Thurston. He's not married, so he can just let it all out. He doesn't have to be sensitive.
Just say it.
Sensitive to Dana's feelings or anybody else's feelings that are listening. But we started this month out on forgiveness, and now we're going to go to part 2 on the online part of forgiveness. Stephen?
Cool. What's up, everybody? Thanks again for tuning in, and so glad to hear so many positive reports about how Couples 412 is changing, impacting, and positively influencing people's lives. If you missed us a few weeks ago, as we talked about forgiveness, you want to be sure to try to get that information. It's up on the Couples 412 page. But get that as we laid the foundation for forgiveness and put out a framework for forgiveness. Of course, our time is limited in our sessions, and so we just try to give you some nuggets that you can practically and tangibly apply to your life. And so as we circle back around tonight to focus again on forgiveness and close out this presentation on forgiveness, let me raise this rhetorical question. Question being, the last time you said, I'm sorry, where did it really get you? For some of you, you might be saying nowhere. It went dead flat. I tried buying the flowers. That didn't do it. I tried a multiplicity of things to express my sincere regret for what I did or what I said, and it really didn't work out for me. So what do I do? What's the next move that I make? Well, I need you to understand something. What most people are looking for in an apology is sincerity. And for you to be able to communicate sincerity, you need to be able to speak the apology language of the person that you're asking forgiveness from. You need to speak the language that resonates best with your mate, understanding that everybody doesn't have the same apology language. For me, I need you to show me, demonstrate in a very tangible way that you're sorry. So if you cause me to lose something, I need you to replace it. I just need to see a change in action. All of that comes together. You just saying I'm sorry means nothing to me. It doesn't even go in one ear and come out the other. It goes to one ear and does a U-turn and goes right back away. I can't receive that. I need to see some action, some demonstration that you're actually sorry. And everybody has a different apology language. So let me encourage you, if you don't know the apology language of your mate, to ask. You can start by simply asking, what is it that I can do or say that would express to you sincerely that I'm sorry, that I'll need forgiveness, and that I sincerely want forgiveness. There are 5 apology languages. There's an amazing book entitled The 5 Languages of Apology that I encourage everybody to get, every couple to get. Go through it, read through it, so that you can discover and discern what your primary language is. You may have more than one, but all of us are going to have a primary apology language. What often happens is that the apology language that's our language is what we by nature communicate to other people. And so for you, saying I'm sorry or buying flowers, you know, something like that might do it for you. And so you turn around and do that to somebody else, and you don't get the response that you want. Why? Because that's your apology language and not their apology language. So again, get this book, The 5 Languages of Apology, and I believe it'll help you. If you want to go ahead tonight because y'all been beefing and arguing and you're sleeping in separate bedrooms, you need to get some forgiveness going, go to 5, the number 5, lovelanguages.com. 5lovelanguages.com. Click on Profiles, then click on Apology, and then you can take an assessment. There's a test there that will help you to determine what your apology language is. and you can on the spot find out what your language is and begin operating in that language and communicating that language to your spouse as you discover and discern what each other's language is. But let me quickly give you the five languages. Number one, expressing regret. And when you express regret, you want to be specific because it helps your spouse to see that you've got it. You understand the impact that your actions or your decisions have caused. Number two, accepting responsibility. That's where you admit that you're wrong and you accept fault for what you've done, what you've said, the decision that you've made. Number three, making restitution. This is it for me. This is my apology language. This is what I need the person who's offended me or wronged me to do, to make restitution. So what can you tangibly do to make things right? You need to find out what that is to get that ball rolling. Number four, genuinely repenting. That's where you do a 180-degree turn and you don't make any excuses. To repent is literally to walk in the opposite direction from an etymological perspective. You go the total opposite way. And then number five, requesting forgiveness. And that's you simply asking, will you forgive me? Listen, again, if you don't know what your mate's, your spouse's apology language is, simply ask and then take it a step further. Take that apology assessment. Again, the number five, lovelanguages.com. Hit profiles, hit apology, and then hit the assessment, and you'll be able to go through and discover what each other's apology language is. Well, the question may be parading through your mind, why is requesting forgiveness important? Why do I have to do it? My spouse, my mate is a Christian. Aren't you Christians just supposed to forgive anyhow? I shouldn't even have to ask for it. Don't good Christians, real good Christians, just automatically forgive? Well, that's really not how it works. There has to be confession and repentance for there then to be reconciliation. That works horizontally as well as vertically. In our dealings and interactions with God, God is always willing and ready to forgive, but we've got to confess and repent first, and then God turns around and forgives us. And so the same way that it works vertically, it's the same way that it needs to work horizontally. There has to be confession of what you've done. There has to be repentance where you do a 180-degree turn, you ask for forgiveness, and then the person gives you the gift of forgiveness. This is what happens when we offend somebody, when we sin against somebody, when we cause hurt, harm, or damage to somebody. Emotional barriers are created when that offense occurs. And until the barrier is removed, the relationship can't move forward. There's going to be some trust that's violated, or distance is going to be created. A gulf will emerge between you and your mate because of what happened or what was said. There'll be disconnection, either physically or emotionally. And then at this place, a wall is now created, and the individual who's been offended, who's been hurt, goes into protection mode. And so that's why it's important that we request forgiveness, because requesting forgiveness indicates to the other person that we want to see the relationship fully restored. It shows that you really want to move forward, but not only move forward alone, but more importantly, move forward together past this place, past this point, past this wall. You've got to knock the wall down. Another thing that you need to know about requesting forgiveness, is that it shows that you realize that you've done something wrong. It shows that you understand, that you get it, that you've done something wrong, that you've offended that person, either intentionally or unintentionally. Some things we do it, and we don't understand the impact that it has on the other person. And let me challenge each of us tonight to begin to empathize with the other person and begin to look at life through their lens as it relates to us. Seeing how it is that we really are, looking at ourselves from the other side of the relationship. Let me put it this way. Could you date you, or could you really be married to you if you really had to do it all over again? That ought to cause us to do some introspection and begin to make some necessary and needful changes in our lives and our attitudes, dispositions, and behaviors. Number three, about requesting forgiveness, it admits guilt. Requesting forgiveness admits guilt. It shows that you know and you understand that you deserve punishment and justice. When you request forgiveness, it's an admittance of guilt, and it shows that you know and understand that you deserve punishment and not necessarily justice. It's up to the person who's been offended against to determine and decide which position they're going to take with you. Number four, Requesting forgiveness shows that you are willing to put the future of the relationship in the hands of the offended party. It shows that you're willing to put the future of the relationship in the hands of the offended party, because it then gives power to the offended person. That person then has the decision to make. Am I going to set up some boundaries, or am I going to create some necessary endings? They have the responsibility and the power now to say, hey, certain things are going to be allowed, certain things are not going to be allowed. Or they can say, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm sick of these repeat offenses, and I'm just simply going to walk away from this situation. And so it puts the power in the offended person's hands. And so next question I want to raise is, why do we fear requesting forgiveness? This is very difficult for some people. It's hard to speak anybody's apology language. You just don't want to ask for forgiveness. Many of us would rather just sweep the issue under the rug, act like after a few days it hasn't happened, and just kind of re-engage life and go back through the transitions of the relationship. Well, this is why we often fear requesting forgiveness. Number one, there's the fear of losing control. Remember now that when we admit guilt by requesting forgiveness, we put the power and the control into the offended person's hands. And it's difficult for those of us who have control issues, because the offended person now has total power over the outcome of the relationship and the situation. The second reason why we often fear requesting forgiveness is fear of rejection. Simply human nature. We hate being rejected. But if we value the relationship, we can go against our fears and fight through the process or the position of feeling rejected, understanding that we've got to go through this to make this relationship right and whole again, and to bridge any gulf that's been created by the actions, the decisions, the words, the activities that have caused harm and danger to the relationship. And then the third reason why we often fear requesting forgiveness is fear of failure, because to request forgiveness is an admittance of guilt. Admittance of guilt says that we failed, we dropped the ball, we didn't hit 100%. And so understand that we all make mistakes. It's part of human nature. It's part of life. We're going to fail. We're going to drop the ball. We're going to miss the mark. But just because you failed does not make you a failure. It was a temporary moment in time. It was one action, one activity. It doesn't have to be repeated over and over again. So those are the three reasons why we often fear requesting forgiveness. Now, the other thing that we need to consider is, why is it so hard oftentimes for the offended party to forgive? When we've wronged someone, when we've sinned against someone, oftentimes we want that thing to turn around real quick. We want to get back to the place where we were before the offense happened. And we can't understand why the offended party may not want to forgive us, or why it's hard to forgive, or why they keep bringing the thing up over and over again. I thought you forgave me. I thought you said that you were going to wipe the slate clean. That's what a biblical understanding of forgiveness is. It's done. It's over with. We act like it didn't happen. And that is the proper perspective from a biblical perspective on forgiveness. When we ask for forgiveness and forgiveness has been given, the slate is wiped clean. So you got to stop throwing up. Got to quit bringing it up. Yep, it happened 5-6 years ago. Yep, it hurt you, but you forgave. And so you've got to wipe the slate clean, not bring that situation back up again. But why is it that it's oftentimes hard for the offended party to forgive? Let me give you 3 reasons why that is. Number 1, it may require the forgiver to give up his or her right for justice. Listen, they may want to see you suffer. They may want to see you hurt. You hurt me, you damage me, and I want you to go through that same thing. And that could be why it's difficult for that offended person to forgive, because they want you to really get it, and they only think that you can get it by suffering in the same manner or the same period of time in which they suffer. Number 2, the forgiver may need to forgive consequences that are long-lasting. For example, there could be some mental scars that are left as a result of what you did or what you said or the decision that you made. Or there could be some disease because you crept out, you stepped out, you didn't use protection, and now you bringing something back to her. There could be a child that was born out of wedlock. There could be some long-lasting consequences. Financially, you guys can be in a place that you didn't have to be in because he went and made a decision and didn't consult you first. Long-lasting consequences could be difficult for a person to get over, and so that could be a reason why it's hard for the offended party to forgive. Or number 3, The forgiver may have difficulty if the offense is major and or has been repeated. Please understand that forgiveness is a very expensive gift, and the price increases the more you repeat the offense. You can't ask for forgiveness knowing that you're going to turn right around and do the same thing all over again. Get your life together. Have several seats until you can get the thing straight. Don't keep coming back asking for forgiveness over and over again for the same thing. Listen, I used to say it like this at my church. It's all right to sin because we're sinners by nature. God knows and understands that we're going to fall short. But at least when you sin, sin a new sin. If you're going to mess up in a new way, in a different way. Don't keep doing the same stuff over and over again. And the older you get, that ought to make more sense. It's all right to be a young fool, but don't be an old fool doing the same old stuff you've been doing year after year after year. Make some needful and necessary changes in your life. Listen, understand as we close tonight, the offended party may not be so quick to grant forgiveness, but you've got to ask for it, and you've got to ask for it in a very sincere way. And you've got to speak their apology language to help them understand that you're being sincere. You've got to repent. That means you've got to do a 180-degree turn. You've got to walk away from the actions, the decisions, or the words that you use that cause the offense. Forgiveness, it's a choice to lift the penalty and let the person back into our lives. It's a gift that has to be given. It's a gift that you cannot demand. As I close tonight, Couples 412, happy relationships are always marked by a willingness to apologize, forgive, and reconcile. Listen, if on tonight you're struggling with forgiveness, your mate, your boo, your significant other has expressed confession for what they did, what they said. They've now asked for forgiveness. They've been demonstrating that they're repenting. They've walked the opposite way. They're going 180 degrees opposite of the way that they did when they offended you. You can move to a place where you forgive them. I know it may be difficult. I know it may be major. I know there may be some major consequences that are long lasting. I know you may be seeking justice. You want them to hurt and to pay as long as you have to hurt. I know they may have even repeated the offense, but when you consider the fact that God has forgiven you time and time and time again that you went against God's will and God's way, but yet God forgave you, that ought to move you to a place of grace and a place where you extend mercy to the person that's offended you. If God has forgiven you, you ought to be in a position to forgive somebody else. What if God treated you the way that you're treating that person who's asked for forgiveness, yet you're keeping that wall standing there? Move to a place of forgiveness. It'll bless your life. Stress will be down. Relationships will be better. You'll just be in a better place, a peaceful place, and you'll be in right alignment with God as it relates to His word concerning forgiveness. Couples 412, that's my time tonight. Thank you so much for yours.
Stephen, as usual, all of us picked our toes up off the floor. And yeah, it didn't feel good, but it was right. And you know, sometimes you have to just look back to that point where God has forgiven us time after time after time. Now, we like to respect everybody's time, and we usually say we're going to hang out for an hour. So, Brian and Tisha, if you can go a few minutes after 10, is that good for you?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Maybe. Parkers, are you cool to go just
Yes.
Steven, you good?
I'm good to go.
People out there, this is couples412.com. Forgiveness is a big piece of moving forward. So much that we're taking a whole month on it. And we got some people who have commented. Danny?
Yes. Thank you, Kimberly. She's listening in. And one thing that she suggested is if you pray before you begin to address a particular issue, and I think also when we're talking about forgiveness, this is helpful too. If you pray before you have that difficult conversation, it will help prepare your hearts to bring your defenses down. So thank you, Kimberly, for adding that piece of advice too.
Yeah, great point.
That's a great suggestion.
That's a good point, yeah.
And Stephen, thank you for the resources. And listeners, we have those resources on our Instagram, Couples412, and Facebook page. So if you didn't get it, the 5 languages of apology and the link to find out what your apology language is. I'm curious to find out. We're gonna talk about that tonight.
We're gonna talk about it in the morning. I don't feel like it tonight. Dude, I don't feel like it tonight, When can we get a moment to walk away? Like, we don't want to talk about it right now. Does it always have to be when the woman wants to talk about it? Stephen, what do you think about that, Stephen?
Come on, Stephen.
All right, you were breaking up. I didn't hear what you said.
I said sometimes the man might not want to talk about it. You know how the woman will say, let's talk about it later, even though most of the times we want to talk about it now. But in the case that it is reversed, how does that affect the woman?
I think that you got to both respect each other. And like you said earlier, you got to know your mate. You got to have that wisdom to know when the best time and the right time is to engage in those conversations. And, to keep harmony in the home, sometimes you may just have to table it until a little later, until you're both in that right space so that you both, won't dig your heels in, but rather can move to that place of getting to the yes. And the yes is the right answer for that situation.
Thank you, and thank you, Kimberly. I like the prayer. It makes it easy and smooth whenever you open up with prayer. My wife has a couple questions for us viewing and for us just hanging out.
I came across this interesting quote, and it's, "To err is human, and to forgive divine." How would you guys respond to that quote? Parkers, "To err is human, to forgive divine."
It's needed. Can't live without it.
Yeah.
It's like a must.
Because Greta says a must.
Yeah, in order to be divine, you have to learn the mission of forgiveness. As similarly to as human beings, we can't live without the air. So it's a perfect parallel. I get it.
Yeah. It's like it's telling us that everyone makes mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But to move toward being more like Christ, we need to forgive.
Yeah.
And that's being divine, which is very difficult, but necessary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very.
Anyone else want to comment on that quote? "To err is human, to forgive divine." This was written in the 1700s. So they've been going through this forgiveness issue for it.
I'm usually the one requesting the forgiveness, so maybe my wife could chime in on that. Okay?
Let me chime in on that comment that you made. You're always the one. Listen, whenever there's conflict in the relationship, oftentimes there is that one spouse that's always asking forgiveness. Listen, it's always two. Both parties always have a part to play. One may be more than the other, but the other person has a part to play. So it should never be so one-sided, because there's always something that either one of you could have done differently. And oftentimes when we reach those points of conflict, that's a place of challenge from God to help us to grow in a particular area on both sides. The person who did the offending and the person that now needs to do the forgiving. God is trying to challenge both of us to grow in some area, some point of our lives.
So would you say conflict is necessary?
I believe so. I think conflict is good. It helps you to discover your weak points. And when you discover your weak points, you can do some work on those points to grow yourself in that area so that you can grow and you don't have to suffer so much in that particular area of your life. I put it like this. Feces is awesome fertilizer. And so we need to go through those feces moments to fertilize us, to prepare us for our future. I once took a friend, I ride horses, and I took a friend of mine out to the stable. It was around December. And her response is, "Stephen, why is the grass so green out here? But back at my crib, all my neighbors' yards are brown." I said, "Because it's a bunch of mess out here." And there's so much mess that in December, the grass is lush and green. And so don't run from conflict. Don't run from issues in your relationship. Look at it as fertilizer to make you guys grow individually and as well as a couple.
Agreed.
I have another question for all the couples, too. Stephen, you spelled out, it seems very simple. God forgives us, so we should forgive others. But why do we often just choose to wallow in this self-pity and just to be so miserable just to give to release when the release of forgiveness is freely available to everyone?
Because we're human and our emotions are involved and we hurt and we don't know how to heal from it oftentimes. We've not been trained. A lot of the stuff that we go through, we just winging it. As parents, as couples, marriage, you may have gone to marriage counseling, but you didn't get no real step-by-step. You're learning as you're going through. And so that relates to all aspects of life. And so we just kind of stay there, and then sometimes we use it as punishment and penalty for the person. We're going to stay there because they're doing all this nice stuff trying to make up for it, and we're going to try to milk this thing as long as we can get it going. And so there's some selfishness involved there as well. We got to get past that. We got to understand that, not ask the why am I going through this, but ask the what. What am I supposed to get out of this? Try to get the lesson out of it, and then move on to the next lesson that's, promise you, that's around the corner.
Anybody else want to take on that before we wrap?
No, that was it. That was good.
That was it, right. Get the lesson and the blessing. Why am I going through this? Right. That is the key, Stephen. That's good, because sometimes...
Yeah, and remember, go back to waffles and spaghetti. We got to get back to that middle box, so you better hurry up and forgive.
Right.
If you just tuned in, waffles are men and spaghetti are women. Now, I can't explain it like Stephen did, but anyway, men, we have boxes, and women, they move all through our boxes and mess our boxes up a little bit. Get to one box.
I just want to share this right here. No. It's off the subject, but it just touched my heart because my son does this to us every night. So he's upstairs on my iPad, and look what he texts to me. Can they see that?
We can't see it.
Can't see it.
Tilt it another way. You can't see it?
Hey, hold on.
We can't see it. And let's say this.
Okay, then.
Okay, can you read it for us?
Come pray for me.
I'm still trying, right?
Wait till y'all see the video. It's going to be funny.
Oh, just said, come pray for me. So he knew we was on this call. He's been trying to go to sleep.
Oh.
It's 10:06. So he has my iPad. So it's something that we instilled in our family. Before we go to bed, we say a prayer and waking up in the morning. So that's his, he's like, Mama, come pray for me.
So while we're waiting, final words from the Parkers.
Say it again. Final
words from tonight's online session.
Thank you everybody for coming in. We definitely are coming in, tuning in. We definitely are a community that we have to rely on each other because, like Stephen said, there are no handbooks, there are no guides on how to do this marriage thing. We just all show up every day and put our best foot forward to really get to even know our spouses better and better every day. So join the community, y'all. Join the movement, Couples 412.
Thank you.
Brian and Keisha, you guys are a pleasure to be around. You always keep us on our toes.
Keeping it real, raw, and relevant.
Especially on the live sessions. Have fun on your trip.
Yeah. I leave April 8th through the 11th.
Trip.
Right.
Hold on. Did the girls' trip ever come through?
No.
Oh.
But we will make that happen, though. We will make that happen.
Don't worry.
Yeah, they got bad paperwork on them. But I just want to thank you guys for having us. We always enjoy Couples 412. For you guys that's listening out there, we would love to have more couples come out and support this movement. It's great. It's helpful. It's actually healing some marriages from within. So we just want to thank everyone for listening. Thank you guys for having us on the panel. And anytime you need us to fill in, jump in, come out, support any type of event, all you gotta do is let us know and we'll make it work.
Absolutely.
Definitely support their business. PhotoBuzz, is it photobuzz.com?
It's photobuzzbooth.com.
Photobuzzbooth.com. PhotoBuzzBooth. Entrepreneurs, strong couple entrepreneurs. We're coming down your lane later on in the year. Remember, next month we're talking about the F word, the other F word, not forgiveness, but finances. Stephen, you got any last comments for the day, man? Everything was wonderful as usual. You challenged us, you pushed us, you pinched us, and even you made us feel tight. You know what I mean?
Mission accomplished then. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I got a crew from Chicago that tuned in tonight, and Q, they were asking me, can you get Q to sing something? I keep telling them, no, this ain't about singing.
Listen, this ain't 112 related. This is
412.
It's 412, right.
Right, 412, exactly.
But I thank everybody for tuning in. Glad you got something out of it. And if you enjoy these virtual sessions, I promise you'll really enjoy the live sessions.
Yes.
I want to invite you guys to come out second Tuesday of every month live in Atlanta in Buckhead.
Yes.
Right, and we have moved to a new location. And just if you missed Summer Stevens or if you were engulfed in his teaching, couples412.com, we've posted his notes. We posted his notes from the live sessions, and we've also posted the notes from tonight and all of the online sessions. So if you want to look back and check on it. And next month, again, 412, which is the second Tuesday of every month, we are live, not in Buckhead, and I don't know, I'm from
West Midtown.
West Midtown.
Yeah,
Off Chattahoochee.
Chattahoochee, bass like a bass player, bass, BASSMINT. Oasis Church, our gracious host, allowed us to share their building and their facility. Thank them graciously from the bottom of my heart. And come by, stop by on Saturday. I mean, it's awesome. It is an awesome service. Give to the ministry, the growing ministry in Buckhead. So yes, this is good ground. So we're going to have a sweetheart.
Just thank you for sharing in our labor of love. And we find out that we think we're helping everyone else, but we get so much out of these sessions. And it's been a blessing to our marriage, and we love that it's a blessing to everybody else's marriage as well. So continue to tune in. And don't forget Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Right. So anyway, good night, everybody. Go have prayer with Lil Q, and we're gonna go have prayer.
After we talk about our apology later.
We're gonna talk about, and then after Couples 412, after every session, your bed should be wonderfully made. We love couples after you get all of this out. So be intentional with your relationship, and we'll see you soon. God bless you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.